here, Leslie with Moxxi Coffee Company, and today we are going to chat with Sarah Boutwell. She is a photographer, and she asks, have you bowed to yourself today? Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much, Leslie. I am very happy to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you. It seems like a lot of what you're doing is very, very much in line with, the principles of Moxxi Coffee and the Moxxi Women's Foundation. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I have been doing photography for 17 years, and in the middle of doing that, I was always a server. I was always in the restaurant industry for literally since I was 15. It was the first job I ever had. So having photography on the side that whole time, it was always just my hustle, if you will. But then COVID happened, and as we know, all the restaurants got shut down, and at that point, I freaked out a little, thinking my livelihood also got shut down, when in reality, it was such a blessing in disguise that I was able to stop and reflect and realize that photography is where my heart has been this whole time. And this was my one opportunity where I could really dive into it full time with intention, doing the type of photography that I want to do. So I really wrote down every type of photography I've ever done, and I'm like, what makes my heart feel the most excited? What puts the most fire in my soul and in my belly? And it really came down to when I do photo sessions one-on-one with women, I feel so powerful afterwards, so liberated, so free, that is where I wanted my focus to be. So yeah, honestly, like 7 years ago, it was an idea that popped in my head to do a book, to write a book about my life's journey, and add some poems in, but something was like, you need to really uplift and bring attention to the women in your world that inspire you and keep you going every day. And so years ago, B.O.W, Beauty of Women, came to my brain, and it just now in the last year has started to come to fruition. So that is where I'm at right now. I've been doing these one-on-one sessions with women, and in that, it has turned into this sisterhood in my community that I didn't even expect to happen. So with doing these sessions, it has brought about the importance of being weirdly vulnerable and just diving in with people that you meet, and instead of talking about the weather, talking about what makes you tick, what makes you angry, what have you been through in your life that makes you want to cry. Like, let's talk about all of those things so we can really get to know each other. And so, yes, it's photography, and yes, it's taking amazing pictures to make you feel beautiful. But before I ever even pick up my camera, we're doing an entire two-way interview where we're getting to know each other. And I'm getting really vulnerable with you, telling you my story and making it a safe space to where you feel comfortable to open up with me. And the experiences that this has fostered have been nothing short of magical. I've worked with over 30 women now doing B.O.W sessions. They're all going to go into the book, and I'm so excited. I hope that that's released this year. And so really now I'm at the point where it's like a fight with myself on how vulnerable do I get every day? How vulnerable do I get in this book? And really reaching out to women on a daily basis and not being afraid to talk about my story anymore has really shown me that it really is just about not judging, looking at another woman, and whether you're envious as soon as you look at her, or jealous, or are judging her. Let's be honest, women have always had this cat-fighty type energy surrounding their relationships, and I know growing up I didn't have a lot of real, genuine female connections. I was very tomboyish and played softball, and I just felt like women were competition. And the older I get, the more I realize that it's so false. And really, I want it to become second nature that when we see another woman, we bow to her almost instantly, because we don't know what she's gone through. We don't know if she just lost somebody. We don't know what kind of trauma she's been through. We don't know what she had to do to get ready that morning to look like the badass that we're envying. Like, we don't know what anyone else is going through. And so really, Bow, even though it started as a book, has become this entire movement. And I'm just excited to see where it goes. We actually hosted our first Bow event back in September. I finally was like, we really need to host an event where we're uplifting and empowering women. We have so many local in Indianapolis. We have so many local artists and musicians and business owners that I wanted to support in some way. So back in September, out in my backyard, actually, which was made it even that more intimate, we had 5 different women vendors, 2 women performers that graced our ears with their music. And I actually got to read part of my book to the crowd and have an open discussion with them. And half the crowd I knew, half I didn't. And that moment where I was really able to get vulnerable and just be like, okay, here I am, here's what I've been through, tell me I'm not alone. That was like the moment where I feel like everything broke open and made me realize how important it is to continue hosting events where women can come and feel safe to make connections with new people, where women can come and support women businesses. I never charge a vendor fee, and I never charge any sort of percentage. I want these women business owners to take it all, take what they're worthy of, like really empower them, just let them come, have a good time in this environment where they can go home and know like that they just made an impact, and that just their presence being there is all that I really desire. I really just want to cultivate a community of women that continue to grow and have larger and larger events where we're able to get together and do group healing exercises and not be afraid to get to know each other and quit competing and start collaborating. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. We did our first group bow session a couple months ago. So now I'm offering group bow sessions where if you got a group of friends that you want to have an intentional evening with, instead of going to celebrate whatever it is at a club or whatever, nobody wants to do that now anyway, COVID. But we can do these group sessions and have an intentional evening with group healing exercises. Everybody's getting their photo taken. There's a group photo session, kind of solidifying the connections that were made. But it really is all about being weirdly vulnerable and the bravery it takes to do that, and the bravery it takes to tell your story through your work. And I feel like that's what my photography is finally doing now, instead of me doing corporate headshots or dance photography or whatever type of photography it was. Now it's really all about women empowerment.
I love it. So many questions.
Yes, ask away.
So I think one of the first questions I have is, do you notice a difference in like the actual artwork when you're having those kinds of vulnerable and deep conversations with women versus just typical hi, how are you, sit and look pretty?
Oh my gosh, a world of difference. I cannot even almost express in words the power and the energy that is brought through on these images is incredible. And I've had people who know nothing about me and know nothing about Bow reach out and say, oh my gosh, you really know how to capture the aura of people, the energy of these women. And that's only possible because we sat there for an hour or two ahead of time and literally just like heart diarrhea on each other, if you will. But like, there's no other way to put it. It's because we spent an hour or two completely letting our hearts on the floor and saying, okay, yeah, I've been sexually abused, or yeah, I've been verbally abused, or yeah, I've been cheated on, or whatever the trauma is or traumas are, to be able to talk about this with another woman and not be judged and feel safe, and then be lifted up and talk about our triumphs and how we got through that. Like, there's no denying that these images the final version of them show the energy that's in that room. You can literally feel the liberation that just happened during that experience through those images. So it's a huge difference from having a woman come in and just be like, okay, sit here and turn your head this way, 1, 2, 3, go. Nobody feels comfortable doing that. Like, yes, it feels good, and yes, you feel good when you leave. Like, oh, okay, cool, I just did that. But there's no real intention behind it. Why are we sitting here trying to look pretty? Why do you want to feel sexy? What is going on in your world that you need a moment to break out and really feel yourself? Those questions aren't normally asked when you go into a boudoir photo session or a regular photo session. So just the fact that we dive in with that two-way interview first with our tea or coffee or whatever, before I ever even pick up my camera, it really makes a huge difference. And I'm so grateful for that.
I love it.
I'll never go back to just come on in and shoot.
You know, I have a quote that I use for the foundation all the time, and I say it constantly, and it's, there should be no competition among women. Instead, let's dance together and attract abundance into our lives. And it's really the principle of the foundation as well. You know, we lift as we rise, just a network of women who are here to support and honor each other. And I really feel like this is a movement right now. You know, the not only just, you know, women empowerment in the sense of, you know, we should have equal pay and you know, equal opportunity for jobs, but I think you really touched on something with trying to get rid of that idea of competition among women and cattiness and jealousy and all of that. So it's a really interesting, I think, time to be alive in that respect, where I think we have a ton of people that are kind of opening their eyes to this, but then also Instagram.
Yeah. You can definitely feel the shift happening.
Yeah.
And then there's Instagram.
Yeah. Do you think it's generational, maybe?
Definitely. I'm 36, and it honestly took me until the last couple of years to finally be like, oh gosh, I guess I'll get active on the social medias. I'm from the time where we still had to ride our bikes to a friend's house to see if they were home, and like the neighborhood kids hung out and played hide and seek at night. We weren't on our phones on Snapchat. Like, it's a totally different world. Definitely a generational thing. I've finally flipped from I hate social media to this is exciting. I can learn something new. And also the connections I'm able to build on there are incredible, because the women that I do run across that I find inspiring and motivational, I'm actually able to reach out to and say, hey, thank you for what you do, and make those connections. And instead of just watching them and being jealous, you're able to reach out and go, you know what, like, something that you're doing really resonates with me, and I appreciate that, and I'm so glad that there's this platform that we can reach out to each other and that we can lift each other up. And I love what you said, like, you know, lift and rise. Like, one of my quotes forever and always will be is, when one woman rises, we all rise. And honestly, social media is helping with that. It really, really is.
Yeah, I mean, I think social media, like anything else, is a tool, and it depends on how you use it. I am a big fan of block and unfollow, and you know, controls. I was doing it was really funny. I was doing a live thing with a woman who is a women's health coach. And I was like, oh, so I have 10 minutes because then my whole Instagram is going to shut down because I have it on a timer. And I'm in this now, so in order for me to undo this, I have to get out of the live or just get off in 10 minutes because I've reached my limit of how much Instagram I allow myself today.
For the day.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for those options, because we really would be in a scroll rabbit hole, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important for mental health. I make sure, you know, at the end of the day when I'm done with work, that I shut everything off except for text messaging, phone calls, you know, none of it's necessary once I'm home with my family. But it's also, what's really interesting to me is I love that you did that vendor event, because I've been spinning my gears about trying to do a women's expo locally, and keep looking at my 5 acres going, I could do it here.
Yes. Honestly, I'm like, will people come to my house? Is this weird? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, it's my community of women anyway. First off. Secondly, I want it to be an intimate, safe space. So what better place than my own home, where I feel like it's open to any woman who would want to come knock at my door and need a place to talk. Like, this is where we do it anyway. So it was really, really special. I definitely don't have 5 acres, but it was plenty of room to have the bonfire, to have the performances, to have the DJ. I mean, it was really beautiful. And I think because it was at my home, people almost felt more safe to be open and more safe to be vulnerable and connect with each other, as opposed to a venue. So you got this.
Yeah.
I'll come help you up. I'll come do a group healing exercise and we'll rock it out. But
there you go. I love it.
You should Women's Expo it. I think more events like that need to happen. And that was one thing I heard after that, is like, when's the next one? We need more intentional spaces.
Yeah, I mean, we have, there is one that's local, but it's in like the biggest venue space that we have available to us, and the vendor fees are ridiculous. Like, you know, I have a pretty successful business, but I mean, I wouldn't want to have to cover those fees. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
So I love that we had this conversation, because it's going to bring me back to that.
Yeah.
So you talk about your community. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Divine Sisterhood?
Absolutely. Again, it all kind of happened organically. I never planned on having a monthly membership program. That was never even on my radar. And it just opened, gosh, at the beginning of last month. And it happened because as these women were going through these vow sessions, and then we had an event, it just kept coming up that further support was needed. And the phrase divine sisterhood just kept coming up. Oh my gosh, I found my divine sisterhood. Like, y'all have been my family my whole life, and I didn't even know it. So it all kind of came about organically, where I just knew I needed to be able to provide a space with extra support daily, instead of, like, come do this photo shoot and then you're on your own, like, look out for the next event. It wasn't sitting right with me, and so it very organically happened to start the Divine Sisterhood membership, because not only is it a space where women in my community can go and vent, get encouragement, find out about the new events, but we also do a live monthly interview with a different member each month. And it's on screen with everybody, so they're able to see all the emotions that are attached to all of these questions, and hopefully get some sort of inspiration out of it. But then we open the floor and have an open discussion after the interview. And so it's a space where at least once a month, we know we are all together on the screen, able to connect. And that's so important, especially with COVID and that whole world going on right now. The need for connection is almost deeper than it ever was before, because we've been so isolated. So the Divine Sisterhood really just happened because it was needed, and the women who were doing these photo shoots and group sessions wanted to continue the conversation, wanted to continue to be held accountable, to be vulnerable and raw. They wanted to continue to be held accountable in their self-care practices and their self-love talk. All the things that we say we want to do and know we need to do, that we then get distracted by life and forget to do for ourselves, and then wonder why shit gets really hard, and then we go through it all over again. So really, the Divine Sisterhood was created so that there is a space for us to be together any time of day, always. There's a 24/7 private chat, so some mornings I'll wake up and somebody just went on a little a free thought moment, if you will, and they're like, man, I'm struggling with this right now, or I lost somebody recently, and how did you guys get through this? Or, hey, I'm really having trouble with self-love talk right now. I'm being really hard on myself. What do you guys do? And so it's a constant discussion of how to better ourselves and be there for each other. I'm so unbelievably grateful for it. We're going to start offering more inside of it this year. Announcements to come. But yeah, as of right now, they're getting weekly journal pages. That gives them a different tough question each week to reflect on. So that also helps with the self-reflection and the fact that we're all just in the space of wanting to grow right now. I mean, let's be honest, pardon my language, it's a fucked up world. And we're all just trying to get through it the best that we can. And so to find more groups and communities and movements like this, the more the merrier. There's space for all of us. There's room for all of us to grow and to heal. And so the Divine Sisterhood exists for that specifically. So even though there is mostly women from Indianapolis in that group, we also have a beautiful woman from Illinois. We have my friend from New Jersey that's in there.
That was going to be my next question is, it sounds like you're doing most things virtually.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, open to other people because, who knows where people are going to be sitting, when they watch this and learn about what you're doing. So I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely. I would love for it to be, and it is open for any woman who runs across it who needs a space with genuine support and connections with women where they really feel like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And I feel like that's my biggest thing with it is it's so much easier to get through day-to-day life when you know you're not alone.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
And, finding people with, similar interests and like-minded is not always easy. Finding friends at this age, in this time of life where you can't be out in the public, it's really, really difficult. So, geography can separate you, but if you have something like this to be able to bring you together, I know that most of my closest friends none of them live in the same state as me.
I love it. Yeah.
So I was chatting with one of my very best friends out in Honolulu the other day, and we've got a 5 to 6 hour time difference. It's nearly impossible,
Yeah, absolutely. So thank goodness for technology in that aspect.
Right?
Like, we wouldn't even be able to gather like that if it wasn't for
pen pals. Did you ever have a pen pal when you were? I did.
I had pen pals like in New York when I was in middle school. We went to Myrtle Beach for a family vacation and met friends, and that was the only way to keep in contact with them was to write letters.
Yeah. I had a couple of pen pals that I met on vacation, and then my grandfather came across a balloon that had a thing in it, and I wrote to that girl for probably about 2 years, and then I hit 15, 16 and stopped writing to anybody because I had a car.
We cared about other things at that point.
Yeah. The mall. I had a car, a job, and there was a mall nearby. The end.
Yep. That's all we need. That's all we need at 15, for sure.
Oh, this is all really fantastic. So your membership, did I see it was $17 a month, $204 for the year? And with that membership, you're going to get monthly journal pages, weekly?
Weekly, get a weekly journal page, and each week it has a different tough question on there to reflect on, and it also has an affirmation. So every week in the private chat, we're all able to discuss our answers to that tough question, and it just keeps the raw and honest conversation going, and it again keeps us accountable to our growth and to each other. So.
And the private chat is on Discord? Is that what I said?
Yep, it is on Discord. What an awesome platform to actually be able to have a secure chat. I decided to go with that platform because, let's be honest, like a private Facebook group, Mark Zuckerberg is still reading all your...
I don't know what you're talking about. Facebook doesn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
They don't eavesdrop.
Yeah, so we went with Discord, so it's like a genuine private server where we feel like we can actually talk about the shit we want to talk about. So we're able to talk about childhood sexual trauma. We're able to talk about if we've been raped. We're able to talk about if we've been molested. We're able to talk about those things that like the corporations don't want you to talk about.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it's a space for really raw conversation. And sometimes I'll just check in and be like, hey y'all, I freaking missed hearing from you. What's going on in your world? Like just another little nudge to let y'all know you're not alone. And it helps me know that I'm not alone. So yeah, weekly journal pages, the private chat. We're actually doing our monthly interview for January on Saturdays. So we do it the second Saturday of each month at noon, my time, our time, Eastern. And again, that's followed by like an open discussion. So if there's something that came up in the interview that resonated with you or that you have questions about, we all talk about it after the fact. And it's just a great space to connect.
Wonderful. Can you tell me a little bit about the book you have coming out? Where are you at in that process?
Oh my gosh. So I am so close to being done writing it. I'm honestly just going back through now and reading it myself and reflecting. It has always been dedicated to my grandma B, and she passed away just a couple weeks ago. We had her funeral last week. She was 94, and because it was always dedicated towards her, and I've been working on it, and now that she's passed, I feel like I gotta go through and edit some things and really amp up that dedication portion of it, because she's really why I wanted to write the book in the first place. I've never known a woman to go through so much trauma and struggle and loss and have so much joy and be there for her family. Like I've just never seen anybody just a spitfire, a human being, hilarious. So you would never have known what she had gone through because she was always just smiling and laughing and hugging and loving. And so a few things have changed in how I want to approach it and all of those things. So since her passing, I am tweaking some things, but because I really want that dedication portion to be important. She was a huge impact and a legend, and I wouldn't be who I am today without her influence. And yeah, so I am almost done writing it. And I'm almost done adding in all of the images of the women who inspire me every day. I have just a couple more photo shoots to go. And so really, here in the next couple months, it should be off to editing and should be off to publishing. And so the goal is for it to come out this year. I don't know the exact date, obviously, but I do hope to host a really beautiful gala for the book release, which again will be another event where I can empower other women, have leaders and musicians and artists that are all female, that are out here just killing it. And so again, I wouldn't be able to do any of this without the women in my world that do impact me every day. And so really, yes, this book is going to talk about my childhood sexual abuse. Yes, it's going to talk about being called a liar my whole life about that. Yes, it's going to talk about the fact that my uncle Danny went missing in 1994, and it's been 20 however many years and we still don't know what happened to him. I have a really weird, kind of fucked up life. But that being said, everybody does. Everybody has a story. And so that is really why I'm intertwining the images of these women, because even though they aren't telling their story, they're a part of mine, and they're how I keep going. So my ultimate goal with this book is that even if you don't resonate with exactly what I've been through, you're able to flip through this and hopefully be caught by an image of a woman that you do resonate with, and that you can just look at her and feel her vibe and know that you know her and see yourself in her and be impacted by that. So it's going to be a coffee table style book that hopefully will be an impact on generations of women to come. That'll just, again, convey that you're not alone. We've all been there or been through something similar. There's nothing to judge each other about. We're all trying our best to get through it. And hopefully this book can convey all that and convey it in a way that, like, by the end of it, even though getting through it might be hard, because getting through it was fucking hard, but by the end of it, you'll be able to take a deep breath and be like, damn, I really am a badass. And no matter what I'm going through, I can look at myself in the mirror, give myself a bow, because I'm so worthy of that deep respect of myself and revering myself in that way. So that is what the book is for, and it's called B.O.W. for that reason. We can neglect ourselves so much, and even neglect our own story, and not even think about how we got to where we are today until it gets brought up. When really we should be reflecting on that every day and stopping every day and be like, you know what? Today might have been hard, and I might have laid in bed all day and not done anything, but I'm still going to bow to myself because rest is important.
Yeah.
I'm still going to bow to myself because staying to yourself sometimes is important. It's easy to celebrate yourself on the days when shit is easy. It's easy. But it's really about being able to celebrate yourself on the days when it's not easy. And the reminder of reaching out to other women on those days to know that you're not alone, and the bravery it takes to reach out and say, hey, do you have a minute to talk? Or, hey, I'm going through some shit. Don't be embarrassed about it. We all do. And if we did that more, if we literally texted each other more and been like, oh my God, I need you to talk me through this shit real quick, we'd probably be able to figure things out a little bit easier instead of getting caught up in our own minds so easily. So I hope that this book is not only a beautiful dedication to Virginia Boutwell, but that it'll be, again, an inspiration and encouragement for every background, every race, every religion, every type of woman that there is. To know they're not alone, and that they are worthy of valuing themselves every freaking day.
That's amazing. You know, one thing that I have to say is, you know, the fact that you're able to sit here and say that you're even aware that your grandmother had trauma and loss, that in and of itself is a huge thing, because I feel like that was a generation that spoke even less about their feelings and emotions in the past and what happened, you know, because depending on, you know, what type of trauma it was super taboo to even acknowledge that it existed. So, you know, I think that you're starting something, or your grandmother started something that was really important, and that's talking to your children about, you know, being worthy and trauma and, you know, accepting yourself even on the bad days. So it's, you know, I have, as well as my son, I have 2 daughters, so I try, well, the littlest one, she's only 2, so we're working on that, but I have another one that's almost 16, so I try to, you know, talk about this with her quite a bit.
Yeah, that's right, in the age of the most questions.
The shit. Can I interrupt you for half a second?
Yeah.
Your sound is funny.
Did it just get funny?
It was kind of funny in and out, but I didn't want to interrupt you when you were talking about your grandmother at all. And then it came back, and now it's back out.
Great. Okay.
We can still hear you. It's just kind of far away and echoey.
Again, technology.
Yeah, like I wasn't sure if you had some kind of separate device.
Sure now.
Oh, that's better. Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
So you were saying that's the age that's the most difficult?
It's the age where I was blown away at the event in September because when I opened the floor for group discussion after I read part of my book, it got really freaking vulnerable. When I asked these questions to the audience, what's your biggest physical insecurity? The list goes on. It was the young women. It was the 13, 15, 17-year-olds that were raising their hands and wanted to talk and wanted to have this conversation. And so when you say you have a 16-year-old, I'm like, she's right at that age where they are literally grasping at
everything.
They are, because they want to know themselves and they want to know everything's going to be okay. They want to know that they're loved. And so they're looking for events like this and spaces like this and communities like this, honestly, where they feel safe to open up and talk about their shit too. And so that was a really beautiful thing to see that the young ones are the ones who really want to participate and really reach out almost easier than us old ladies do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like trauma creates women who are more closed off and maybe live a little bit more in that masculine energy, which is going to be, less open, less vulnerable. I know for me, one of the hardest things for me is to actually be vulnerable. My husband wishes that I could be a little bit more vulnerable, but it's something that I have to actively work at. So I think it's extremely important to give women a space to actually talk about their trauma and be vulnerable, because spending your life closed off and hard and in that masculine energy is not where we're supposed to exist, because we're feminine.
Exactly.
So I think it's fantastic. And all of this is very new concept to me after having worked with a health coach for a little while. So it's very interesting that we connected at this particular time in my personal life, because it's just like over the course of the last, I want to say 6 months, I'm being opened up to all of these different things. So it's quite interesting, and I love having the ability and a platform to share all of this with other women and let them know that there's lots of places that you can go for whatever it is that you need, whether it's healing, whether it's encouragement in business, whether it's just someplace safe to talk. I love this movement that's happening. I love what you're doing with your photography and your divine sisterhood. I am very excited to see your book when it comes out.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for touching on the fact that it's hard for you to be vulnerable. Because as women, we just like to think that we just are naturally, but you're totally right. I call it, let's get weirdly vulnerable, because it's weird. It is. It's weird for most people to just dive in and be like, okay, tell me about your childhood trauma.
Yeah. Well, I think typically, you have like your couple of close friends that you maybe divulge some of it to, maybe not even all of it. And then after that, it's just not, it doesn't even really hold space in your life. Right. But it does. It's always kind of there. And,
exactly.
There's got to be something to kind of maybe integrating it a little bit more and letting it flow through and out, as opposed to just here.
Yep. That is why the Divine Sisterhood exists.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. We need more and more and more of this. But I think, like I said, I see a movement. I see a movement happening, and I'm seeing more and more of it as I'm actively reaching out and trying to, I can't honestly say that I was looking for you and what you're doing, but in what I'm doing, I'm just looking for women that are doing stuff so that I can go, look at what she's doing. This is amazing. You can do it too. And that's just bringing forth so much other, great, wonderful things. So I really hope that we get some people that are watching this, either now or later, that join your Divine Sisterhood. And we're going to make sure that we have links to everything that you're doing. If you are local or close to Indianapolis, we've got some fantastic, vulnerable photography. And if you are not local, you can certainly, join the Divine Sisterhood and have some access to some healing. I think that's fantastic. So also when your book is done and it's available, shoot us an email, because on the blog post we're going to have links to your website and all of that, your link tree. But I'd love to be able to add that link as well when it's available.
Yes, thank you. I absolutely will. Thank you for everything you're doing. This is literally what it's about. I really feel like women are changing the world with our connections and the fact that we're not scared to reach out anymore and that we are collaborating. We're really changing the energy. And so I love it. So thank you for doing what you do.
I read something the other day, and it was just a random post on Facebook where the imagery captured my attention, so I read it. And it's kind of been mulling in the back of my head just a little bit. And it was something to the effect of the invention of the washing machine and like the indoor, washboards resulted in mass depression, because the women would all go down to the stream and wash their laundry together, and they had that community, and they were all super excited to get this machine in their home so they didn't have to lug everything down to the river. But then it later resulted in depression because they were no longer having that time in that space together. And that really, really resonated with me, because they say it takes a village to raise a child, and yet here we are in a time in life where women just can't get a freaking break. Because if you're staying home and taking care of your child, then why aren't you building on a career? And if you're building on your career, why aren't you staying home and taking care of a child? And if you're trying to do both, why aren't you doing it better?
Pretty much.
So it's just like to kind of like go backwards. It's like I think we need to go backwards a little bit before we can move forwards. We did have a society where women were mostly stay at home, and in the afternoons where the kids are in school, they would have coffee together and they would do different things. And now we're all so busy caught in the rat race that we're all just looking around going, where is everybody? What are we supposed to be doing? Why don't I have meaningful connections?
Yes, we need to figuratively get back down to the stream, damn it.
Yeah, right?
Seriously, that is an amazing analogy and a crazy fact that I never even have thought about. And it makes so much sense that a depression would arise from that specifically, because you're so used to having other women to bounce ideas off of and talk about your life to, and then all of a sudden you're stuck in this your own little hop, if you will, and never get back out. And so, wow, thank you for that. That like blew my mind for the morning.
That one, like I said, it was just a really super random post that I came across, and scrolling on, but it's just kind of been back there. So,
absolutely.
You'll take that one with you.
I will. Yeah, I have everything. That one's sticking with me for sure.
Right?
For sure. And again, it's just another confirmation that more events need to happen that are women-based, more virtual ways to connect need to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's just confirmation of everything we've already talked about. Like, yes, we, over the last few decades, have lost that sense of connection, and we're all grasping to get it back, so...
I have one other question. With your Divine Sisterhood, if there were somebody that were interested in the Divine Sisterhood, but they maybe don't resonate with like really deep, big trauma, what other kinds of things are being discussed in there that, might resonate with somebody that, is stuck, is struggling with who they are, does need some support in areas that aren't maybe quite as heavy?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, what I love about the private chat that's going on in there is it's not always heavy. A lot of times in there, we are talking about the fact that this life that we are living is meant to enjoy, and we are meant to have fun. So it shouldn't always be heavy, and we shouldn't be taking ourselves so seriously all the damn time. And so I guess what is great about the Divine Sisterhood is everyone in there has their own level of whatever trauma. I don't feel like anyone's trauma is worse than anybody else's, if that makes any sense. And so you say, like, maybe somebody who hasn't been through something so heavy, but really everything is so personal and individual to each person that what's great about the space that we provide is you don't have to feel judged about any of it. You don't have to feel like your problems aren't as important as the next woman's problems. Because what's amazing is no matter what you type in there or what you want to talk about, we're all there to jump on it in such a loving and supportive way that it's really just beautiful to see the different perspectives from all these other women who have been through whatever that may not be anything like what you've been through, but you're getting that different perspective from all these different women of different backgrounds. So what I love about the fact, like, okay, maybe you weren't sexually abused as a kid, and so you don't resonate with that. That's okay. This tough question this Tuesday, how do you want to be remembered? That goes for everybody. Anybody can answer that question and talk about that. Anybody can go, okay, man, let me reflect real quick. How do I want to be remembered? And so the affirmations that are on those pages every week, those are for everyone. Anyone can say those, and it reflects a third life. And so it doesn't matter what you've been through or your level of struggle or your level of triumph. All of our struggles are similar. And that is really what it drives home is, okay, you don't have to have gone through exactly what I went through, but our struggles as women are still similar. And so to have that space, to have that discussion on any of the levels is so important. And so I feel like it's really a space where any woman can feel safe and feel comfortable talking about what their daily struggle is. Maybe their daily struggle is just getting through the day of 5 kids and having to cook dinner and trying to start a business or whatever it is. And maybe somebody's struggle was they just got in a horrible car accident and their car's totaled and then, like, you know what I mean? Everybody's level of struggle is different, but this life shit ain't easy.
No,
regardless, it's not easy. And so that's why we're there, and that's why we exist, is to be that support system, that genuine support system, no matter what you're going through, no matter what your level of trauma or struggle is.
Now, I was in a phase for a while where I was like all about the Facebook groups. I love my Facebook groups, but I found that no matter how benign the group seemed to be, there was always some kind of conflict. There was always some ugliness in it. How are you finding that your group is handling that, or like, is it just non-existent? Do you think it's just a different platform? Do you think it's because, people have to pay money to be a part of it, so therefore they're probably already going to be very much in that headspace, as opposed to like a Facebook group where you just get the keyboard warriors and the negative Nancys?
Yeah, no, you put that completely right. I feel like a lot of people are out there and will join any free thing as long as they can talk about their opinion. For whatever reason. And so it really is a level of difference when you pay for something. You're not going to do that unless you want to be there for a specific reason. And so the women that are joining because their intention is genuine support, and their intention is real connections with other women. And so the vibe of the group is just that from the get-go. Nobody has joined that doesn't already agree to the fact it's going to be a non-judgmental, safe space no bullying, no hate talk, none of that. So they know what the vibe is before they ever join. And I feel like if you're not on that frequency already, you're not going to pay $17 a month to be there. And that's fine because we only want women who go into it with the attitude of, okay, I'm here to grow, I'm here to heal. And I won't put up with nothing else.
Yeah, that's great. As I mean, like there's a group that I'm in because of the specific dog breed that I have, and man, those people get nasty, and I'm like, we're just here because we have the same dog and they're fun. Like, I don't understand. Like foodie groups.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You don't have to like the lobster ravioli. But you didn't have to call that person that thing.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It blows my mind the attacking people will do over the silliest things. So,
Oh God.
yeah,
Well,
we don't fuck with that around here. We don't deal with that with the Divine Sisterhood. It really is. Anyone who joins already has the intention of full support. So it's a beautiful space to be.
I think that's a really, really, really good selling point, for people, of just to know that it really, truly is a safe space, and that that type of behavior is not even existent.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I really, really appreciate you coming on. I absolutely love what you're doing. And I can't wait to, see your book and watch your group continue to grow. I hope you get more divine sisters from this.
Oh, thank you, Leslie. You're a freaking angel, and I'm just really glad to have met you. And your vibe is very in line with mine and what we have going on. And so the fact social media brought us together.
Yeah, right?
Is beautiful. Thank you for everything you are doing to uplift women, because again, this is what it's all about. So I appreciate your time and what you're doing and the impact you are making. And thank you for spreading the word about my projects and what I'm doing. It is heartfelt. I appreciate you.
You are very welcome. And we will talk again soon. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.